What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Now today we have a treat for you guys. After the craziness of sport mode, or at least the state of sport mode right now on Gran Turismo 7, we decided to kind of go back to basics and make ourselves a fake daily race here that we all know Polyphony would have just drooled of making, and that is Group 3 cars around Lago Maggiore, 4 laps around this track. And our good friend Vin Diesel, Z28, was kind enough to put this lobby together and went through the frustrations of going through the settings and fixing together here a fake daily race. So I was super pumped to actually do this because we were finally going to be able to get some good BOP Group 3 racing, and it's around a really good track. So 3, 2, 1, away we go as we get the Aston Martin right off the bat, spinning into the inside wall. Not sure exactly what happened to him, but heading to turn number 1, we take a little peek onto the radar, and we saw Superior making a dive bomb into turn number 1. Makes it actually stick, so shout out to him for actually making that stick. But as we head into turn number 2, we try to go onto the outside, keep it on the outside of Turismo Rustdog, but unfortunately Rustdog was able to hold off on the inside, make a little bit of contact, but into the next couple of corners we were able to just get the good old cutback, get on the inside of him, and regain that position as we had another American go wide. And heading into the next corner here, we go 3 wide into the corner as the American of Lieberstrom just sends it on the outside, goes a tad bit too wide, and Rustdog gets a very bad case of wheel spin. We're able to gain 2 more positions, or not 2 more positions, but we were able to regain those 2 positions, and we are now up into P number 4, 2 seconds behind Superior after all that craziness. So a very, very wild start to the race, but at least we were able to kind of get it organized here. Our next objective and our next focus here was to try to catch up to Superior up ahead, and Z28 as well, as they were only 2 seconds up the head, but up the road. But eliminated Ethan basically in first place. I knew we weren't going to be able to catch up to him because he's just one of the quickest drivers, honestly, in North America. So we're just gonna let him do his thing, and we're just gonna see if we can try to catch up to Superior and try to come home with a podium now as we head our way into lap number 2. So onto the second corner here, we were starting to close up the gap just a bit. You can see it was going from 2 seconds to 1.9, 1.8 seconds, but we just had to make sure that we hit all our marks and just make sure we don't push the car too hard, as we did have a little bit of tire wear on this race. And coming out of turn number 4, Z28 decided to back out. Not sure exactly why. I think he just got a bit bored running in second place, and he wanted to make things a bit more actiony for himself. He backed out right on the straight and allowed us to get ahead of him. So it was going to be a little bit difficult because I know Z28 is really, really quick. So the fact that he's going to be right behind us, we're going to have to make sure that we defend on the straights. And not only that, just make sure that we hit all our marks, so that we don't lose time to him, but we also don't lose time to Superior up ahead. So off of the S's here, down the main straight, you can see that Z was right behind us, and he was in their slipstream. So I tried breaking the toe just a bit, shifting onto the inside. He didn't really follow us, which was interesting. And as we come down into Big Banky Boy for the second time, we were able to hold off our 3rd place position. And actually, DK right behind us in 4th was able to get around Z28 into the hairpin, which is very, very shocking in my opinion. But he was able to get around him, and he was able to work his way up into P4. So down now into the double right-hander. We were just making sure that we didn't go too wide, as you can easily lose the back end if you just go a bit too wide, take the rumble strips in an awkward angle. And so that was one thing that we were definitely trying to avoid. But this track on this game actually felt really, really good. I was really surprised how well they redesigned this track. On Gran Turismo Sport, the rumble strips were just very, very abrasive, and also you could cut a lot of these corners. So they did everything in their power to try to limit the corner cutting that was on this game, or at least on this track, because on not this corner but the next corner, people would take all 4 tires underneath the rumble strip. And you can see that now on this game they added a sausage curb and a little bit of pylons there, so that in case if someone does attempt to do that, they just run into that and actually slows them down. So kudos to Polyphony for actually listening to some of the complaints that we were having with some of these tracks and giving them a nice little fresh update, a nice little facelift. and it provided for some really good action here, as this was actually our very first race around Lago Maggiore, surprisingly, here on Gran Turismo 7. But as we now head into the S's, we get a basically a mirror full of DK, as he was all over our rear. But heading into the S's, we defended the inside going to the first part, and not sure if he got dirty air or what, or if he was just pushing a bit too hard, but he got a really bad corner in the middle of the S's, and we were able to just pull away, kind of stretch out the gap to him to about half a second, and at a big banky boy, we were actually able to make it to 3/4 of a second. And not only that, we were actually starting to catch up to Superior right ahead, as that 2-second gap basically turned into a 1-second gap, actually less than a 1-second gap. And with just 1 lap to go, we were just going to have to push as hard as we can and screw the tire wear. It's just basically just push and see if we can try to get that second place position away from Superior. So managing the tires the entire race kind of paid off, as you can see that the fronts and the backs really weren't that bad. I mean, I was looking at some people after the race, and you could definitely tell that some people were pushing the tires to the absolute limit and just abused them to get some tire wear. As we head into turn number 1, Superior accidentally makes a huge mistake, just couldn't handle the pressure there from us, and braked way too late, goes straight into the grass. And that was an easy P2 for us now, but it's not going to be an easy P2 finish just yet, as we have DK all right behind us, as we get a really bad exit. And he gets a really great run down the straight, side by side. DK was able to just send onto the inside. Really no trouble there, just due to the fact that we basically didn't have straight line speed due to the mistake. And he was able to get around us, and we fall back into P3, now with a hungry Superior right behind us, as we take a defensive line into the first part of the S's. So taking a nice line here, we're just kind of seeing what kind of line DK was running and making sure that we can maximize all the track limits and just make sure that we get a good run on the exit. We stay right behind him on the slipstream here. He decides to stay on the racing line, doesn't go for a defensive move, which is great. And we send it onto the inside into Big Banky Boy side by side. Try to get on the power as early as possible, but unfortunately he was able to get on the power earlier than us. And looking back, Superior was all over our rear, just taking a little peek right before this quick little chicane. And heading to the double right-hander here, we were going to try to send it in and see if we can just take full use of the racing tires that we had. And as we come into the second part of the double right, we get a really, really great run now as we're closing the gap on DK. See if we can pressure him into a mistake coming to the final corner. Spotting a braking point right before the final corner, we send it onto the inside and try to maximize the track limits. But unfortunately, coming down to the line, DK was able to hold us off brilliantly. And he comes home with the P2, as we come home, at least on the podium, in P3 right ahead of Superior. So very, very good racing there. Exactly what I wanted for GT online racing. So due to that, I was still not done with my GT Sport crave, so I decided to jump into another lobby here. And this one was actually Group 3 around Bathurst. And it was a grid start, which made things a lot chaotic. So going into turn number 1, we spot a braking point, make sure that we don't get hit from behind. As you can see on the radar, people were just getting destroyed right behind us. But somehow, luckily, we were able to go into turn number 1 and down the straight without any incidents, as we now make our way to the first corner up the mountain. And we were able to hold off our second position. So very, very surprising there, because usually with these open lobbies and these private lobbies, there's a lot of craziness that ends up happening. And all the craziness happened right behind us, and somehow, luckily, we were able to just keep it on the track, and we were able to come out of all that shenanigans in second place as we now work our way through the middle part of the mountain. So 2.2 seconds up the road is McGowan, but unfortunately, on the top of the mountain, he goes a tad bit too hot, goes straight into the dirt, and spins himself out, and that promotes us straight into the lead as we come down the mountain for the first time. And now we are the leader, so we have to make sure that we keep it on the track, make sure that we don't overdrive the car for these next 4 laps. And if we can do that, then hopefully we can come home with a win. But As we come down the second straight here, the Corvette right behind us got a really great run down the mountain and actually got a really great exit. And he was able to kind of get into the slipstream here as we were just keeping an eye on him, seeing where he was going to go. And Saber here with the full head of steam and good slipstream toe was able to catch up to us, get about 0.2 of a second right behind us, but he didn't send it onto the inside yet. So he's being very patient here, since this was a 5-lap race, and he was just biding his time, basically just waiting to see if we were going to make a mistake, since I think he was actually a bit quicker than us due to the fact that the Porsche on this game is just very difficult to drive. So if you guys have not driven the Porsche on this one, since it is a rear engine car, on some of the tight corners it just wants to spin out, and maybe it could be something that could be patched up on this game. But I know in GT Sport with this Porsche, it was actually one of the better handling cars, so it just caught me by surprise tremendously that on a couple of these corners it just wanted to absolutely spin me out. So it was just something I had to keep in mind when I was going up the mountain, especially when I was going down the mountain. That's when it was very crucial to maintain grip, and unfortunately with the Porsche down the mountain just doesn't mix together well. So as we now work our way up into the mountain here, we get a mirror full of Saber, and unfortunately that pressures us into heading into the wall, and Saber was able to get around us here as we make contact with the wall. We make contact with the Frenchman of Nuco as he makes contact with the wall as well, and we get a 1.5 second penalty. But we're not the only one wearing the penalty here on this race, as Nuco had a penalty too, but he accidentally got a 2.5 second penalty. And as we head into the second straight, that's where the penalty zone is at, so we're gonna have to serve it there once we get down the mountain. So heading down the mountain, we gained a lot of time on the Frenchman. He was making a couple mistakes here, and going down to the straight leading us into the penalty zone, we were gonna try to attempt a trick, a very good trick that we learned on GT Sport, and that is taking the penalty, going onto the grass, and actually reducing the penalty length. But unfortunately on this game, they kind of fixed that, and if you touch the grass here on this game, you're basically spinning out. And I like that they fixed it. I just did not know that that was the case here on this game, and due to our stupidity, we ended up spinning out, and that was basically race over for us. But anyways, those were the two races that we were able to do here on open lobbies, and just kind of mimic a GT Sport vibe, just bring in some old school daily races. And honestly, that was the most fun I had on multiplayer. So I'm hoping that more people do that going forward, or if not, I hope Polyphony Development actually makes some daily races that mimic the GT Sport formula, because I really miss having the races being in the driver's control instead of the car's controls. But let me know what you guys think about the online state right now. Leave it in the comments down below. If you guys really enjoyed the video, feel free to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button down below, try to get us to 10,000 subscribers. And if you want to catch me on the Twitches, Instagram, or even on Discord, you can find those links in the description down below as well. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, I hope to catch you guys on the next one. Peace.